So this is going to be an audit of a period tracking app. Now, before I start looking over the site, before we start seeing what they need to improve SEO wise, what they could be doing better, what's currently occurring on the site, I want to touch on something. So there's been a lot of these apps created. Now, when I say this, I am not saying this specifically to this app that's been created or this website. What I'm trying to illustrate, the point I'm trying to make is this idea that every single app that's created has to be SEO. That's the idea. That's the notion I'm trying to attack, right? When I'm talking about this, it is not in reference to this specific app or this specific website and their SEO process, okay? So, what I want to attack is that commonly what I'll see is that people will create these apps, right? Because of what is currently going on in the vibe coding community, there are a lot of these apps that are being created. Then people will think, okay, so I've created my app. Now I need to get customers. Yeah, logically, right? That's the next thing you need to do. The thing you need to consider is that it doesn't have to be from SEO. You do not have to get traffic from SEO to your app. Another thing you need to consider is that the type of app that you're creating, it may be so niched down and so specific that nobody is searching for it. Do not get it confused when people are searching for the brand or the name of the app, that they are searching for what the app provides or does as a service or as a product, right? So, what you need to consider is that you may want to seek other means of gaining traffic to your app instead of SEO, right? Because think about it. What is SEO? SEO is optimizing search engines. What are search engines? Search engines provide a search results page, right? A whole bunch of links with additional information about those sites relative to the search term or the query that is placed into those search engines, okay? So a search engine everyone knows about is Google. When you search for something, you have to know what keyword or service that you're looking for, right? Your super specific, super niche down app may not have any search volume for the service or the product that it provides. So there would be absolutely 0 point in SEOing it, right? Now, there could be an argument made to SEO it for AI or these LLMs. Granted, yes, I'll play devil's advocate for you. You have a solid reasoning there. Now, what you need to really ask yourself is maybe instead that you should be using other means to promote or get traffic for your app, like social media posting or other marketing avenues, right? You do not require or have to have SEO traffic, Google traffic, Yahoo traffic, Bing traffic, whatever traffic to get users onto your app. Because they first have to be searching for that very specific service or product, right? Because what you have to do is when you're SEOing a page, a website, a Google Business Profile, you're applying things to help it rank for a very specific service, a very specific keyword, a very specific product that is being searched for in Google. I'm not saying that they shouldn't SEO this app, right? We haven't even gone into the point of is this being searched for? What I'm now going to go into is let's see if people are searching for this app's service, right? This is a period tracker app. So what we first need to do is, are people searching in Google for a period tracker, right? Now, to you, you may be like, duh, they are searching for it. But for me, from an objective point of view, field data, like actual search volume, we need to go figure out, are people searching for this? I'm not saying they're not, but I don't know that, right? And for those that are creating these apps, we want to base what we're going to do off of actual data, actual search traffic, actual search volume. Not only that, in this process, we're going to figure out, okay, what keywords are they searching for? What are the keywords that we need to be optimizing our page for, right? So what we're first going to do is we're going to head over to Google Trends. And I basically took from their page that they are a period tracker, right? Period tracker, okay? Super simple, put it in there. And what this is going to do is it is going to show me in this graph right here, relative to itself, relative to the same keyword, right? If I only had period tracker in here, and let's actually do that to illustrate a point. I like to do Google Trends over a 5-year period, and then also always make sure that you are in the United States when you're searching for this. That's just a personal preference. Obviously, if you're a different country, then select a different country. So what we can see from this graph, there is a peak here in May of 2022 of 100. What does that mean? Does that mean the keyword was searched 100 times? No. What that means is relative to its own search volume. So what we think about is during the duration of a year, there are highs and lows in which this keyword is searched for, okay? So the highs is when it gets to 100. So it's relative to its own search volume, right? And what we can see is that here recently, it's been searched more often than its previous search volume. We don't know the exact amount of times it's being searched, but we have a general trend that this is currently being searched for more often than previous historical times. So relative to its own search volume, or it is giving you a number, right? Right now it's giving us 52, and this is June of 2026. Back in May of 2022, it was at its peak search volume relative to itself, relative to period tracker, the keyword, right? Now, what's great about Google Trends is we can then stack other keywords. We can stack to period tracker, period app tracker, menstrual tracker, menstrual cycle tracker. You've got a whole bunch of these other very similar keywords to look for to see what is occurring, right? How often, what are their seasonalities, where are they currently relative to their other historical search volume, right? So right now we can see that period app is coming off of a high. It was previously a month or two ago at 100 on Google Trends, right? And now it's at 55. What this also does is Google Trends will give you a lot of related search queries to look for. These are other keywords or other commonly searched phrases, words that are typed into Google. So what this does is it gives us other ideas of keywords we need to consider targeting instead of targeting the keyword we think that may be the keyword we want to target, okay? So this is a great resource as well. So under period app, it gives us top queries, and then it also gives us rising queries. So this can give us a lot of ideas and a lot of other horizontal keywords we may want to consider targeting, okay? There is also another free resource that Google gives you. You have to have a Google AdWords account set up. It's free. You do have to link your credit card to it, but they don't charge you. But it is a free resource also provided by Google. And we can do a thing that is very similar to Google Trends, but instead, this time, it is actually going to give us a range, an average of monthly searches. Now, this is not gospel. This is not the end all be all. This is not exact. Google is not going to give us the exact amount of times something is searched for, okay? So just keep that in mind. What this also does is that this gives us the top of the range and the bottom of the range for how much people are paying to be placed as a sponsored result in the search results to the keyword that is being searched for, right? Okay, so the keyword is period tracker. The average monthly searches that Google is telling us is that it's from 10,000 to 100,000 times a month. Then we have the top of the range bid, the low is 99 cents. So they are bidding 99 cents per click in the top sponsored results, right? When you search in Google and you see that sponsored results, this is what it's referring to. They're paying per click, and their bottom of the range to bid for that click is 99 cents each. Then there is a top of the range that is $3.57 for this keyword period tracker. So now what this is showing is that this app, the keyword that it's trying to target, the service that it's providing, does have search volume. So this is an app that you would want to SEO the website. Now, that does not mean that this is the only traffic source that you would want to generate from, right? You would also want to generate traffic from social posting or advertising or other means, right? Maybe you could do in-person events. I don't know, right? I'm speaking very generally and broadly about apps. I'm not speaking very specifically about this one, right? Just because SEO is a traffic generating source does not mean that you have to apply SEO, especially when it comes in relation to apps, right? That you may get a better return on your time or money if instead you invested into seeking out creating social media content, right? I'm not saying that you shouldn't do SEO. I'm just trying to give you different perspectives so that we can get a better understanding of maybe what we want to do instead, right? So from these, we can get a better idea of the keywords we want to target and what are people currently paying for. If people are currently paying for the clicks, that bodes well with me to give me the idea that, oh, okay, actually, this might actually be competitive. There may be an actual way to monetize getting traffic from these keywords if people are willing to pay for them, right? So that's the end of that. Now we are actually going to move on to the SEO currently being applied to the website. So we're going to leave that open. We're going to go over here. Okay. So now for the site, this is an automated SEO tool that I have that I've built internally. So what's currently occurring on this site is that you have links to blog content that's in different languages. I wouldn't personally do it this way. Now, I do understand you are trying to target different languages, but instead of doing it by creating these new URLs or these new blog content, what you want to instead do is have an it's like href lang on the page. And then what you want to do is, depending on when the user is coming to the page, display different languages. What you could also do is do subdomains. You could do EN, or actually I wouldn't do English, but for these other languages, you could do DE dot simply dash. You could also do a host of different ways of setting up your site to be friendly for a lot of languages. What I would not do is what you're currently doing, where you have over 184 different pages, and each of these has their own different blog content, right? So basically what you have is a templated version for your other languages. So what I'm trying to say is that you have, let's say, 8 blogs for English. Then you have a silo structure. You have it all templated and built out, right? You have those 8 pages for English. Then what you're doing, and what I do not recommend, is that you then have another 8 pages for a different language. Then another language, you have another 8 pages. And another language, you have another 8 pages. Another language, you have another 8 pages. And so what you have occurring is instead of just switching out the language on page to match the user or giving the user a button to click that will switch the content to a different language, you instead went the route of creating all of these different URLs, which is bloating your site to have 184 URLs that aren't necessary. When instead you just switch out the language that is on page to the appropriate language of the person that is trying to view the page, right? Okay, so you are also creating a faceted filter, which what I mean when I say this is that every time someone clicks on one of these to filter your blog content, you're creating a new URL. So it is very similar to the thing I was talking about previous, where you're creating a lot of URL bloat because you have all of these different pages for different languages, when instead what you should do is just cycle the content on page to a different language, right? So here again, instead of in the page cycling through the different filters that you've applied, what you're doing is that you're creating a new URL for each new filter being applied. So let's see here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You got 33 different filters. Wait, can you do combinations? Oh no! So each time I click on one of these filters, it creates a new URL. That new URL has a page of links that are relative to that filter being applied, right? Because this is filtering out certain blog content. So that creates a new URL. But not only do you have that occurring, but I can do a combination of filters. Each time I do a different combination of filters, I'm getting a brand new URL. So you can do 33 times 33, and that is the amount of URLs you're creating on this site. So we went from a maybe like a 45 page website, but because you have this filtering mechanism that's causing a faceted URL to be created every single time that I click one of these, you now have, what is that, 990 pages? Then you also, instead of replacing the content with the appropriate language you're wanting to target, you had it create entirely new pages. You now have what's 184 plus 990? That would be 11, 7. Yeah. So you went from a website that was maybe like 50 URLs to a website now with 1174 different URLs, and 990 of them are just thin content with literally just blog content, URLs, links. There's nothing actually distincting or separating these pages from each other. The other thing that I hope that's not occurring is that there's pagination. Please don't tell me that this pagination creates a new URL. Oh, okay. So not only do we have the combinations creating new URLs, but then you also have pagination, which is then creating new URLs. So based on the combination that I have of all of these, right? Okay, so not only do we have that, but then I can also paginate, to create another new URL. I want to figure out actually how many are there. Okay, so yeah, you have 1174 URLs being created on this. We're not going to go into any of the on page or any of the other technical things that are occurring, just because that in and of itself is going to make it extremely difficult to rank your app. Those are some things that I would consider